BK contacted Dr. Varghese immediately after reaching home. The investigation had reached a stage where explanations over a telephone were no longer sufficient. A personal evaluation had become unavoidable, and the psychiatrist agreed to arrive the following day. Rakesh was instructed to make travel arrangements without delay. SD was asked to accommodate Angad at the police mess until further notice, ensuring that he was treated with dignity. No criminal case had yet been registered against Angad, and BK saw no reason to treat him as an accused before the facts demanded it. The investigation had travelled a long way from where it had begun. Only days earlier, the pursuit of a serial killer had appeared straightforward. Every clue seemed to promise another step towards the truth. But with every passing day, the investigation drifted further away from familiar ground. Questions multiplied faster than answers, and every new lead seemed to challenge the very direction of the case. For perhaps the first time in his career, BK found himself searching not merely for truth, but for the nature of the truth itself. Angad remained at the center of that uncertainty. The brilliant young artist, whose talent and academic promise had once earned admiration, now stood consumed by prolonged drug abuse and a severely disturbed state of mind. His physical conditions bore little resemblance to that of a man capable of carrying out a series of calculated murders. Yet dismissing him entirely was no easier than accepting him. Later that night, Maya informed BK that Angad had been admitted to the district hospital after being found unconscious inside the police mess. BK and SD reached the hospital without delay. The attending doctors confirmed a severe narcotic overdose. The substance had been consumed through inhalation, leaving little possibility for conventional emergency treatment. Survival itself appeared remarkable. There was nothing to immediately suggest an attempt at suicide. Around 2 in the morning, Angad gradually regained consciousness. His body responded before his mind did. Between moments of awareness and delirium, he spoke of recurring visions that had pursued him for years. He recalled ignoring his father's repeated warnings and surrendering instead to the irresistible urge to complete the paintings that consumed his thoughts. What had once begun as an artistic expression had slowly transformed into a terrifying conviction that the figures emerging from his paintings had acquired lives of their own, leaving behind nothing except death, guilt, and helplessness. To a police officer, the account sounded impossible. To BK, it was something far more dangerous. It echoed another voice. Days earlier, in Devipuram, an elderly woman had spoken of the same forgotten past with an equally unsettling conviction. Neither account explained the murders, neither could be dismissed without consequence. Long after leaving the hospital, BK found himself returning to the same question. Drugs and schizophrenia explained the condition of the young man lying in the hospital bed. They did not necessarily explain the memories he carried. Somewhere inside that disturbed mind could still exist fragments of a truth that had taken root long before addiction had consumed his life. The possibility refused to leave him. The following morning, Dr. Varghese arrived and examined Angad in detail. Physically, his condition had improved considerably. Psychologically, however, the diagnosis remained unmistakable. Years of substance abuse had pushed an already fragile mind deep into an advanced schizophrenic condition, delusions, distorted perceptions, and the inability to distinguish lived memories from imagined realities that had become inseparable parts of his present existence. Yet even after reaching that conclusion, Dr. Varghese found himself confronting questions that medicine alone could not answer. As BK spoke about his recent visit to Devipuram, Angad quietly listened. The names of Puduval, Dineshan, and finally Devaki appeared to awaken memories buried beneath layers of confusion. What followed caught BK completely unprepared. According to Angad, Ashan's unwavering love for his wife had gradually transformed Devaki's infatuation into a quiet sense of revenge. He claimed that it was in that state of mind that she had placed the sacred bindi upon the unfinished image of the goddess. From that moment onward, nothing had remained the same. In Angad's recollection, the paintings had ceased to remain paintings. The tragedies that followed, the death of his mother, the death of the Kolot princess, and every misfortune that unfolded thereafter, all traced their beginnings to that single moment. The account carried every symptom of a disturbed mind. Yet, it also carried something else. It was not a newly imagined story. It was rooted in memories that belonged to a time long before drugs had entered Angad's life. Whether those memories had survived untouched or had become inseparably intertwined with his illness was impossible to determine. BK offered no conclusions. He simply listened, because for the second time within a week, different lives, different generations, and entirely independent journeys had pointed towards the same woman, Devaki. When the examination concluded, Dr. Varghese admitted that while Angad's illness explained much of his present behavior, it did not satisfactorily explain every contradiction surrounding the investigation. In nearly 4 decades of psychiatric practice, he had rarely encountered delusions that appeared to coexist so persistently with independently recurring historical narratives. Unable to dismiss those contradictions, he suggested 2 further steps: a polygraph examination to assist the consistency of Angad's recollections, and a complete recreation of the crime scenes in the hope of identifying the psychological triggers hidden within them. BK remained silent. Days earlier, ST had independently proposed recreating the crime scenes. At the time, it appeared to be an unconventional thought from a young officer searching for direction. Hearing the same recommendations repeated now by one of the country's most experienced psychiatrists quietly reaffirmed BK's growing faith in SD's analytical instincts. Without a word, he accepted both recommendations. Conventional investigation had taken them as far as it could. The path ahead demanded something more. The investigation was no longer attempting to identify a serial killer. It was trying to separate memory from delusion, history from hallucination, and truth from everything that had gathered around it over the years. Only then would the investigation know where it truly stood. The investigation had quietly reached a place where neither experience nor expertise could confidently lead the way. One of the country's finest investigators and one of its most accomplished psychiatrists now found themselves approaching the same truth from opposite directions. Neither was prepared to abandon reason, neither was prepared to ignore what lay before them. Somewhere between memory and delusion, the truth waited.
Where stories begin